Welcome to this glorious Thursday. It's Thursday, right? I got the day wrong last week. Last week when it was Thursday, I thought it was Friday. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday. In our Discord, we have Maluba, Hayden, and Mr. Shills, otherwise known as Matt. Would y'all like to say hi real quick? You'd have to unmute to do that.
No.
Hi.
Okay. Just checking your sound
Hello.
levels. Yeah, we're getting more and more opinionated, wonderful people in our Discord with me, so they can call me on my BS like in real time, protecting you all, hopefully. But yeah, we're gonna talk to some of them. We're gonna get their input on some of these questions as we go. It's still Thursday again. I have a habit of like turning Thursday into Friday. It's like documented at this point. So the first question is it Thursday? I guess I'm going to put that in the questions list. I'm going to put that right now. Is it?
For me, it's actually Friday.
Really? See? I was right. That's right.
It's gonna be Friday in 3 minutes.
That's right. You've been staying up so late for us. Can I just say how much I love our international community? I kind of miss not streaming at 3 a.m. I used to do that. I used to stream like all the way through the night. I was on a split bimodal sleep schedule, and I made a lot of friends with people in Europe and Australia and Asia, and I kind of miss it actually. So I don't know. I might pick up that again. But it's Thursday in America, just in case anybody's wondering. Just letting you know that. I guess another question, what's up with the room? The room's getting dirtier every day because I keep pulling out more storage boxes. But I do have something quick to announce. So there is a new playlist that is, we don't know, are we going to call it Home Labby, Hayden? What should we call it? So you all had ideas for this.
I suggested Labinet.
What?
Labinet.
Labinet. Okay, what should we call the new, we'll quote, air quotes, home lab playlist? And any other votes? What should we call it? Should we call it, I like Labinet, as long as we can make sure. That always reminds me of Labrador Retriever.
RWX Rob Labinet.
RWX Rob Labinet, something like that. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
the reason I landed on Labinet is because
Hey,
if
guy.
you think about it, it sounds like lab in it, and it's the
Oh.
process of labbing.
Lab and knit. I didn't catch that. So we could have like lab. We could have like, maybe I have to spell it out for the slow people like me. So we could do like lab and it, and then we could like have parens and all. We could say lab and it, like 0 or 1, and then everybody be like, whoa, you like did a whole Mr. Robot thing where a knit 1 0. I like that. I think I might have to pick that as the name. So why do you care? Everybody else who's watching, there's a new playlist, which is me suffering through building my home lab on my trusty machine right here, which is, this is my Mac Mini I just added. And I added a HPZ 640, which I got for a kickin' deal, which gives me 58 CPUs. And then I've got these 16 Mac Minis over here, left over from my old job business
Did
I
you
ran.
just say 16?
Yeah, right here. They're right here. They're right here. There's like 16 of them, and they've been sitting there in storage. I actually donated these. Fun story. I donated all of these to a charity, and they sat for a year unused. And I one day, my wife and I were talking. I was like, I wonder if they ever actually got around to using all of this old hardware, and they hadn't. And I said, can I please have them back? And here they are. So I still have them. I mean, some of them still have like stickers that the kids put on them and everything. By the way, these things go for Labrador. Ooh, that's a good one too. These Mac Minis go for like as low as $60. They're not very. They're 4-core. They're one CPU 4-core, 4 GB. I have a couple that are 8 GB, And so they're not very big, but they're really solid. They're cool. They're silent. You can stack them up next to each other and put a fan behind them. They're fine. And they're really great. They got HDMI. They got full blown gigabit Ethernet out of the back, and they make a really great collection. And they're going for as low as $60 on eBay for these these older Intel ones. You be careful though. You got to get the ones that are Intel, right? If you get the ones that are not Intel or they're M1 or some of the newer ones, they may not take Linux as well. So just watch yourself. But if you want to watch me suffer through putting all those things on my new Proxmox lab, which for those of you who have visual access, I am going to show you really quickly because I'm kind of proud of it. I'm not going to lie. I have had fun making this. Oh my gosh, we got to reload that because we put dark mode on. And we even got dark mode working today. So we're going to do a Mac Mini cluster. I also have 32 Raspberry Pis. So I'm putting those in a rack, and I'm going to be building that over the weekend. The rack should be here. And so we should have about 310 CPUs total when we're done. Which is funny because as soon as I said that, somebody was like, I have 506 CPUs in my racks. And I'm like, okay. It's like, how many CPUs are in your home lab? But this is what Proxmox looks like. To those who have audio only, I'm showing a dark mode, a Discord dark mode theme. That's literally the name of the theme. And it's just, I'm getting a 21U rack for this. And this is all going to be a stream. I went ahead and reinstalled from scratch my HPC 640 today and my Mini. And Hayden has volunteered. Hayden, I'm going to call you out. Hayden, who a couple days ago was talking to us about FreeIPA, has volunteered to come on and help me not shoot myself in the foot, setting up my own Active Directory replacement, which is FreeIPA, which gives you LDAP and even DNS actually, and Kerberos and all that great stuff. So, looking forward to that. In fact, Hayden is working with, I think, with the FreeIPA project to try to document that whole process better. Is that right?
So I'm not affiliated with the FreeIPA stuff in any way, but there isn't any official Rocky Linux documentation for using FreeIPA. So I'm trying to write documentation for Rocky 9.
Rocky 9, that's right. You've been involved with Rocky the project quite a bit, right? Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of the core team last year.
Oh, fantastic.
So.
That's fantastic, and we love Rocky Linux around here. Tanis and I, Het's convinced me. I had a good time with Alma too. So I mean, I know y'all have a little bit of a disagreement there, but I'm good with solid with Rocky. I will be putting Rocky on all of my VMs. I'll probably have some Ubuntu server VMs as well, just to stretch my skills a little bit. Somebody from the chat asked, why not Samba? I'm going to ask Hayden, what does Samba have versus FreeIPA? I mean, I'm thinking Samba right out of the bat has to have Active Directory, right?
So Samba, if you really want to go down 50 different rabbit holes, you can basically make Samba act like an Active Directory domain controller, but it's a really hacky way of doing it, and it's not particularly stable, and it doesn't have a lot of the features of a normal domain controller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't provide LDAP. It only provides Kerberos, that sort of thing. It's just a lot easier to go with something like FreeIPA, where if you're managing multiple servers, multiple Linux-only servers anyway, it's gonna make more sense. It's gonna fit better into your environment.
All right.
In this situation.
Well, that's a great TLDR for that. I appreciate that. If you want to take up that question with Hayden in the Discord, he's there. You can just open the question in the chat. You can hit him directly. So yeah, I mean, these are all considerations. I was trying to decide whether to do Open LDAP alone without FreeIPA association. LDAP comes in FreeIPA. A lot of people don't know what LDAP is, and one of the questions is, what is LDAP? I'm going to add that question and answer it in one sentence. LDAP is Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. It's something that's been around from the 90s, It's largely a super fast miniature database that is used primarily for identity management kinds of things. So, like, what's my username? It can be used for authentication to log in, but these days it's not. These days, Kerberos or something akin to that is used instead, and LDAP is just used to contain property and group memberships and stuff like that. And as of May, sometime around May 2020, I just read this last week. Hayden, I think you might have known this, but I just read this yesterday that Active Directory now officially uses LDAP. Kerberos as its backend. So LDAP is usually paired with something like Kerberos, which handles the password login without ever sending password information over the internet, which is really cool. And so, I've kind of been not what is LDAP? I guess I should put what is Kerberos. Again, these are really high level questions and answers. Kerberos is the name for, strictly speaking, Kerberos is the name for the dog, the three-headed dog that guards hell, I think, in the Greek tradition.
Isn't that Cerberus?
I heard that it was Kerberos. I read that somewhere. Somebody, yeah. Anyway, it was Kerberos or Cerberus.
You're exactly right.
Is
on
that
your first statement?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Okay.
Every time I think of that, I can't help but think of Harry Potter, like episode 2 or whatever it was, and the whole like three-headed dog thing. What is it with Greeks and K too? So you got like Kubernetes and Kerberos and yeah. But anyway, so Kerberos is a thing that came from MIT to take care of the whole password issue and make it safer to do password things. And it's since been kind of embedded into everything that you use, including Active Directory. And that was the news flash for me last week. I don't think I ever fully put together. I mean, Active Directory, Microsoft's thing, used to have its own password management system, but as of May-ish 2022 timeframe, I just read, they are primarily using Kerberos as their internal password engine, which means, why do you care? I always ask that question. Learn it. If you don't know Kerberos, you don't know what a ticket is, you don't know how it does this little authentication handoff, it's worth your time to understand how it works and to see how to integrate that when combined with tools like LDAP and, higher level tools like FreeIPA, which has both of them built in. Is that right, Hayden? Did I get that right?
Kind of. It
okay.
sort of sits on top of both of them and sort of makes them play nice.
I have a question specific to that. Do you have to install Kerberos and LDAP separately from FreeIPA? Or do you have to?
No. So if you want the standard like FreeIPA including DNS setup, you only need to install 2 packages, being IPA server and IPA server DNS. It pulls through all the actual pieces of software it manages as part of those. Are kind of like meta packages.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, well, I can't wait to do that. If you want to see more on that, you want to get into the down and dirty details. Yeah, watch us on the other channel. Did you have a question for Hayden?
Hey Hayden, how does FreeIPA? You might not know how to answer this, but
I'll go for it.
How does FreeIPA do against Kerberos attacks? Because I know there's a lot of Kerberosting that can occur to crack the Kerberos, the encrypted password hash.
So I wouldn't know how to answer that specific to FreeIPA, but I know that FreeIPA deploys MIT Kerberos.
Okay.
So any questions in like terms of Kerberos security stuff, that sort of thing, if you can find an answer for MIT Kerberos, it probably applies to FreeIPA.
Okay, I was just curious because you had mentioned this, and we have a Linux server in house, and I was looking at FreeIPA for authentication.
I mean, if you've already got an AD environment and you're anticipating a lot more Linux stuff, I'd definitely say it's at least worth investigating because of the domain trust stuff. Yeah. Because that also can use Kerberos tickets if you set up a 2-way trust.
Right.
So you could, like, if you have like a Windows environment and you guys use PuTTY to do SSH, if you've got Pageant running on those machines, you can log in with a Kerberos ticket instead of having to like put in a separate username and password.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thanks.
Yeah, I don't think
Alright.
I don't think it's given up too much IP to say that we actually do use Kerberos at work as well. It's a pain in the butt to set up with KNet and all that when you want to use your local laptop, whatever it is, to do passwordless login to remote systems when you're used to using SSH public keys, for example. And
So you guys just use raw KNet?
well, I
No
can't.
no login initiated tickets or anything?
Well, yes, we do that. I probably shouldn't talk about that too much, but
Okay.
there are
Fair enough.
yeah, there are things that we do, but if you want to get rid of your password login, you got to use Kerberos. Or there's like there's some hacky things like with what is it called? SSH. There's a tool with SSH where you can actually use. No, it's SSH FTP. I'm confusing them. There's also
SFTP?
there's SFTP, and there's also a way to mount a remote drive using SSH.
Oh, SSHFS?
Yeah, and which is really quirky. Don't use it, by the way. I mean, it's nice, but it's like really
It's not
slow
fun.
and its latency is bad. But it's a thing.
If it's if you're in a situation where you're gonna have to do like some forensics on a dead box or something, and you know that you're gonna need to be sneaking around in like the logs folders for a while,
Yeah,
it might be useful.
yeah,
But even then, just like SSH onto the box
yeah,
itself
yeah,
at that point.
Get onto it, put it into your shared drive or whatever. Yeah. So I think we hit enough of that. We talked about what is Ldap and what is Kerberos, at least enough for people's curiosity to be hopefully stimulated. You can go look at those things on your own. A fun question here: is Dennis Lastmiles back? So the answer is yes. And if you don't know who Dennis is, I am now showing on the screen Dennis's channel. I have been a huge Lastmiles fan for some time, and I do need to qualify that statement. Dennis is quite his own personality. He is my kind of human being. I really love watching him, but he doesn't resonate with certain people. First of all, he uses an F-bomb about every fourth word. So if that's not your thing, you should probably know that. But he has been one of the core contributors to several really important kernel developments, both in the Unix land and in mainframe land. He's got a lot of industry experience. He's also very well rounded in terms of art and culture and film, which is what got him in trouble with Twitch recently. By recently, I mean a year ago. The guy's been banned for a year. So I do want to. We did raid him yesterday, but I wanted to go ahead and mention Lastmiles again. He was banned because he showed Dave Norton's butt in a movie, according to him. So, yeah, and we don't need to get into the drama of it. I mean, Twitch is pretty esoteric, and I believe, frankly, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I believe that there is a certain percentage of objective ageism that happens on the Twitch moderation panel. I'll probably get banned just for saying that, but I do think that is true. I mean, if you compare Lastmiles' behavior to any number of like a dozen people that I could name immediately, not to mention the fact that Twitch, when their source code was doxed, it was revealed that they have a never banned list of people that can do no wrong whatsoever. I mean, Twitch is an amazing platform. I am very grateful for them, but they have room for improvement, and I think they'd be the first to admit that. And I'm just grateful that Dennis is back. So, he does not like playing by the rules. He likes speaking truth to power. He likes taking everybody on, a lot like me. So he gets himself in trouble, which I love. I love that about him. So I just wanted to mention him to you if you don't know. But if you're interested in kernel development, if you're interested in like industry perspective, somebody who's been around in the core of everything, all the way into, MVS and mainframe and stuff like that. I mean, this guy turned down like a really, really good, multi triple figure, what is it, 6-figure salary kind of thing. It's because he didn't want to help somebody, like drive their company or their government organization into technical, obscurity through technical debt. Talk to Dennis. Dennis is very is that way. Now he's still an old school guy. I mean, he's a VI guy. He just used BSD Unix. He does, he's not really into color and things like that. So, people make fun of Dennis and I all the time because we have this kind of mutual, love relationship, if you will. I mean, the guy offered to send me a Solaris box, just like straight up. He's like, "Give me your address, I'll send you." And they poke fun all the time of us, but I don't care. If you want to see somebody who's a little bit older than me, who's got a little bit more experience than me, then check out Last Miles. And he has been on IRC and YouTube for a long time. But it does take a certain type of personality to like him. And so I'll let you make your own decision there. Next.
Would he also be incredibly disappointed at me for knowing that I use NeoVim?
Yes, he would. He'd be disappointed, but he's the kind of guy he wouldn't care. He'll say something silly, and he's extremely opinionated, and I think that's one of the reasons I need to mention is because Dennis comes from the generation which is slightly before me, that really doesn't give a shit. If you don't measure up, or if you don't agree, or they don't like you, they don't care. They just say it like they see it. He's very much like Rick and Morty. He really knows a lot, and he really doesn't care what you think. So I mean, he's a nice guy, that considered. But yeah, the NeoVim thing, you're like, yeah, whatever, okay, fine. That's but and. But I personally don't think he would hold it against you. He might call you like a moron for using it, but he doesn't really mean you're a moron. It's that whole Rick and Morty dynamic, right? He actually will look down on you, but he'll still like you. It's not like yeah.
He'll help you out too. He was helping some gentleman in the chat with one of those new video cards to run on Linux. He's pretty insane.
He's very very willing to help people. If you get under his skin for any reason, God help you. And he does drink a lot. He's actually passed out once on Twitch, and he'll say there's no.
Wow.
Yeah, he said once. He said there's no photograph. There's no evidence to suggest that that's true. That's his answer to that from now on. But he literally,
that's his response. I love that.
Yeah, I was in that chat, and it was just like radio silence. The guy literally passed out, and it was like radio silence for like 2 hours, and his chat was still running. And we were
he's a real cowboy.
And not everybody likes that, but it's endearing to me. I mean, he's a guy. I mean, anybody who's lived through what he's lived through in the IT industry, including like working at Oracle for any amount of time, I gotta hand it to him for having it together as much as he does, because I mean, this is a tough industry. The more you're in this industry, the more, I don't know, Matt and Hayden and Maluba, can you relate to that? I mean, the more you're in the industry, do you feel like yourself getting a little jaded as you age a little bit? I mean, kind of sneaks up on you. Maybe not. Maybe you guys are the fresh.
I mean, a little bit, but I feel like you probably overestimate my age by a significant amount.
Well, I mean, 30 is old, in this industry. I mean, if you've been around even for 5-10 years.
By a decent chunk.
Okay, well, that's good. And I actually, it's great because I actually, at my current place of employment, I work with a very hungry, very aspirational 20-something, and it, genius of a developer and of an operations person. I think the pairing of people with experience and people that are hungry still. I'm still hungry. It's just, I think that's a good pairing, and I hope that. I mean, I didn't want to make this about ageism, but I do love that our industry is kind of, particularly operations, infrastructure engineering. There's this kind of culture of people that've been around the block and people that are coming onto the block, and this kind of mutual respect, but sort of knowing your lane kind of thing. And some of that probably should be broken down. We're all just equals here, some of whom have been here earlier. And of course, Dennis got here, like 5 years before I did. So. 30 is old. I'm 25 and I'm still in school. Damn it. Those who feel old are those who has no more ideals. Interesting. Yeah. I actually don't care about tech, but I don't care about money, and more tech, the more money you can get. Last Miles was unbanned. Yes. So you just heard it here, Pawn Kids. You can go check out Last Miles. And I mean, that's all I have to say about that. There's something of a segue here into, the dynamics of IT and blah, blah, blah. And I think all I'll say about that is that there's innovation happening in that space as well. Particularly the whole bro culture thing has really broken down, and I'm really glad to see that happening. I mean, I feel bad because everybody on my Discord panel who has voluntarily come in here has been a bro. No offense, guys, but and I'm not.
This is great, bro.
Yeah, it's gay, bro.
I love this.
Hey, bro.
I love it, bro.
Yeah, but and I'm not the guy who's going to go like fish for somebody else to represent a particular community just cause. I'm more about letting anybody come on in here, but I do want to make everybody feel welcome, no matter where they're from and what background. I'm more likely to skewer you over using NeoVim than any of that other stuff. So we'll keep it at that, and it's always friendly. I hope people know that. I have to tell them that too. It's just like, and that's I question my own behavior on that a lot, Monsieur L'Robe. I question my own behavior because I've kind of adopted that sort of cultural dynamic of like beating up people over their ideas, but knowing that we're all good friends at the end, and we're not gonna hold it against each other. But that type of dynamic, which Linus Torvalds uses quite a bit as well, has kind of seen its time. I think we kind of need to move on from that. And I'm working hard to do that, but I fall into it all the time still.
Didn't you go on a pretty heated rant about?
What's that? I'm sorry. One more time.
Yeah, in this community space and more in the private space, this bro culture is okay, but for professional, it's getting it's getting away.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And it's not appropriate, and it's not perceived appropriate anymore.
But is it okay to say what country you're from, Maluba? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I'm from Germany.
Okay. My wife is from Germany, and I've noticed that this is kind of an interesting question. I'm going to manufacture a question here. I don't even know what the question is, but I just want to make a statement that there is a different approach to human relations in Germany professionally than in America. I mean, that's just a statement of fact. I don't really need to read too much into that, but it's definitely different. And I think it's important that people be aware of it, whether you are. In fact, we had a conversation about this the other day. My wife is fond of telling me that in Germany, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Maluba, but she says in Germany, people say Mr. and Mrs. at work no matter what.
Yeah. We have our language is designed that way, that we have two cases, like it's more, we have a more formal Mr. and Mrs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's inherited in our language, so
yeah. So Mr.
So you don't say you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was you or not, but somebody said that they went to work in America, and they actually, I can't remember who said this, but somebody actually had an HR rep come to them and say, we use first names here. It's okay. kind of in a nice way, get over yourself. I mean, that's kind of what the American HR person was saying. It's like, we are informal here. We are friends here. We don't use Mr. and Mrs. at work. So, I don't really want to get into this is better than that. I just think we need to understand the difference. I personally wish that there was more formality at work. We definitely don't call each other morons and put our fists through the wall when we don't agree with a point in America. Now, there are some teams that do that, and I was on a team that was so familiar with one another that they did things that, by any other scale, German or otherwise, they were just not okay. And then you have the whole Christmas party fiasco. Anybody ever been to a Christmas party that was just like...
Yeah.
Believe me, Christmas parties in the UK basically let's find a pub, put a card behind the bar, and just spend the night. Like
just like sleep there. Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
But that's bonding, right? It's like bonding for work.
Yeah. I've had this discussion with other people. I feel like this is another like sort of cultural difference. Is I've seen this before where it's like there'll be times where an American will put a card behind the bar and they'll be like, okay, we're going to be fairly conservative, but in the UK we take that as more of a challenge of how quickly can we max out the guy's card, like. So
that's fantastic.
There's a lot of like I think just cultural differences.
Yeah.
Going to be picked up at like everywhere.
The last
You are drinking then.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, if the company has paid for us to go to a pub instead of go to work, we're not gonna complain.
I will tell you though, the best manager I ever had, he used to about once every 6 months he would take our team building budget and he would dump that all on a fantastic meal at a restaurant. And we would all just go to the restaurant and just eat. And he would say, look, your beer's on your own tab, but the rest of the food, you order whatever you want. And I got to tell you, it worked. It worked, because for some reason we were able to disengage from the whole, okay, we're at work thing. And we sort of were able to, I'm curious, Maluba, how would that go down in Germany? If a manager were to say, we're going to pay for as much food as you can eat at this restaurant, and we want you to come together and talk to each other as human beings and not coworkers.
It's pretty much the same way. I mean, team internals are not that formal anymore. But from a hierarchy standpoint, we are more formal. We are more inclined to be formal.
Yeah.
But it's also changing. And I mean, we are not that hyped, so you won't hear anything like, this is amazing, wonderful job you're all putting together. When I hear this talk from all our American managers, I'm like, yeah, but
you're doing a great job. Thumbs up, Maluba. Good job. Are you saying that you're more likely to hear when things aren't working than when they are? Like when things go bad?
No, but this overhyping is not our thing.
Not our thing. Yeah. Well, that would be consistent with my in-laws and my German in-laws and my family that it's not. I'm not putting it down. It's just a difference. And I appreciate that. For the record, Proxmox was made by Germans. There you go. I mean, there's a lot of other people involved, obviously. But when I saw that, I'm like,
yeah, isn't it open source? So it can't be over.
Yeah. I think the company is a German company. And yeah, whatever. I mean, those generalities can get you in trouble, but some of them are true. So it's kind of interesting, especially if you're like trying to navigate as a newbie. So I'm imagining somebody listening to this right now. It's like, should I take this job in Germany, or should I take it in England, or should I take it in Australia or Italy? What are the differences going to be? What is the culture going to be? Am I going to have to go out for drinks with my coworkers if I get a San Francisco job? And at BMW, yeah. So yeah, it's just a fun thing. I don't want to overly dwell on that. I do think we're at 7:30. We had kind of a short day today. I do have a number of questions that are queued up that I think we'll save for another day. I have the Izzy question, what's it like to work at Discord? And we'll wait for Izzy to be here for that. We have a really big question, what do you think of Web3? Which we'll do another day.
That one will be interesting.
Yeah, I think we almost need a full hour for that because...
An hour? Is that it? I think you're limiting yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that might be a screw the co-learning. We're just gonna go on.
I know. I mean, because I don't want to just
That would be
say
a great video as well.
yeah.
It would.
Yeah. It's largely
Here's an hour 45 YouTube VOD of why I hate Web3 or why I love Web3.
I know. It's like, but I don't want to just say, oh, Web3 is crap or whatever. I want to qualify why I don't like it. To be fair, I don't. And by the way, there's a number of other YouTubers who have done similar things with regard to crypto in general or NFT, and they spent like 2 hours describing point by point the problems with it. And I fall guilty. I'm guilty of saying this is crap or this is that, but I do really.
Neovim.
Neovim, yeah, but Neovim. To be fair, I mean, before I came to that conclusion, I know, I spent like 3 hours evaluating it and writing a blog post that went point by point about all the things that I didn't like. So if I said I don't like it, here's why. And you can go read those reasons. I don't really buy into the thing where, I mean, the whole Twitter thing gets you in trouble, right? Because you're like, I don't like this, but you don't really get a chance to make your case. So you can't take them on the journey with
What
you.
I really don't understand is why you don't have to like put one thing over the other. I mean, if it solves the needs of the
absolutely,
people who use it,
absolutely. And
I understand your point that it destroys beginners.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not everyone is a beginner.
No,
right?
no, absolutely not. And that's another thing too. Is with Rust and Neovim, I mean, those are the two things people most misunderstand about me. I think they're great things for the specific type of person. And the frustration and anger that comes from me is usually because I deal with beginners all the time who say, oh my God, I didn't know that. And they run into a wall because someone told them to use that first. And so they don't understand why it's the right pick. Same with Emacs, by the way. I actually tried to use Emacs for a good week and a half. And there are very solid reasons, and I even put that in my About page, to use those technologies. But yeah, so Web3 comes up and people say, oh, you're just not an NFT or a Web3 fan, right? It's like, oh, you're just a Web3 hater. You're an NFT hater. I'm like, no, BeaconBot's an amazing person. I love him as a human being. I just don't get the NFT thing. Here's why. And we can disagree, agree to disagree. And then if you want to use it, that's fine. But we're making an informed decision. Yeah. And that's probably the place to end on that particular point, because I truly think that the problem with society today is that we are relegating everything to like 240 characters or whatever it is. And we don't get a chance to have a dialogue about the reasons, because if you're actually having a dialogue, then that already suggests that you are respecting the other person as a human being who's arrived at a conclusion differently than yours. And if you on Twitter, I know, right? On Twitter or on whatever, right? So we say, oh, and then you label them, you write them off, and they have nothing good to say, and then you put them into a category and move on. And I have been guilty of this. I think a lot of people do this these days. So I'm trying to get away from it. Let's see. Any fun topics?
With very few exceptions, you can never really expect anything fruitful out of Twitter.
No, you can't. And I just don't. I don't look at. I have to look at just my lists of people that I want to follow. If I mistakenly just look at raw Twitter or the suggested things on Twitter, then I get the problem like I had today. It's like because I mean, how many people are you going to counter saying that's not true, that's not true, that's not true? If seriously, if you you would lose like so much of your life just saying that's not true on Twitter if that's all you did. I mean, if that's all you did, I mean, you could present your objective case and link to blogs and everything. You would literally lose your entire life doing that because there's so many people willing to post things that have no basis in fact whatsoever. And, you know, you either have to respond to that or not. And I've chosen to try to not respond to that, but then I get sucked in all the time. I get sucked in.
It's always funny when you're like scrolling through Twitter and you see someone like post this really cool like Vim plugin that I wrote, and then someone just replies to that with like, that's stupid, and then someone's like, why is it stupid? And there's just no response.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yes, I know, and because they don't. Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes I think no response might be better than some of the responses that they do post. But
This is very true.
yeah. All right, let's here's a positive question. How do you usually start a personal project? And that's probably a better way to end here for today. Anybody out there have anything to say about this? I mean, I have opinions, obviously, but does anybody else?
I will contribute to this discussion once I find that out for myself.
Yeah. Is anybody in the chat? Does anybody have what you like to do for a personal project? I know that Twitch is kind of partial to certain types of projects, almost to a comedic level. But yeah.
Is it web, game development, or random C++ kernel? No,
Yes.
get out.
Yes.
Like...
or yeah, overlay or Twitch bot and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You forgot coding in a hot tub.
Oh my God, is that a thing? Are people coding?
That would be the ultimate like view farming strat for for like a new stream.
Yes, writing raw code from a hot tub. I don't know. I gotta work on the hot tub skills.
Love the comment in chat from
You're
Tomato
halfway there,
543.
Rob.
Just
you got
hot
the
tub,
IRL
yes.
rig,
Like...
right? So.
Yes, we're getting there, my friends. So my
you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Rob's gonna get in the hot tub and code for us.
No. People keep look at that. I went dark just on that topic right there. I possibly could. I mean, I've toyed with the idea of like hot tub streaming with Dennis and going up and visiting him in Canada because he does have a hot tub. And like Dennis and I would just like sit there and get drunk and like stream it on the hot tub channel. But that would like, I mean, Twitch is all about cringe. Let's just be real. It's not so much about value.
Sorry.
I don't know, Rob.
I blurted out
stream
laughing.
you rated last night. That guy was unreal.
He was pretty off the chain.
I ended up watching him till like 1 a.m.
Yeah, I had to unhost him after a couple comments, but it's okay. I mean, the guy is a good guy. He's just doing his thing. We rated in case the YouTube wants to know. We rated a trucker last night. Great guy. From a different universe, but definitely working with what he has. It was really fun, and I'm no judgment here. I mean, you know, so personal projects for me are about passion. People ask all the time. I mean, somebody comes to me all the time on Twitch or whatever, and they say, "I'm so bored. I can't think of what I want to code," and I'm like, "What?" Because I can't relate to that. I usually have so much that I'm thinking about wanting to make, and that's not to brag or anything. I don't know what it is. Why do some people have trouble? I actually think it's a symptom that you might be in the wrong thing. I mean, if you're having problems inventing things that you want to make, then maybe it's a motivation issue. I don't know. What do you think?
I know that like. Personally, I used to be like full of ideas on what to do, like prior to getting a job. As soon as I landed my first like development job, after about like 3 or 4 months, I've just been in a rut for like the past 2 or 3 years where I just work
stuff.
Like I can't think of projects that I want to do. Well, and when I can, they're just like really complicated, and I can't even like point at something and go, right, I'll start there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I personally have so many ideas what to do, solve little problems, bigger problems. But after an 8-hour day, right, or maybe
exactly.
4 productive hours of coding,
Yeah.
you don't want to code anymore. You don't
No.
want to sit in front
No.
of the screen.
No. I'm with you on that. I had a lot of personal projects when I ran my own company, and those projects were based on stuff that would help me. I mean, the whole knowledge exchange group project that I started some time ago was designed around the fact that I was reusing the same material for different lessons, and I was like, I don't want to reuse it. I want to link to it, or I want to figure out a way to exchange it easily with people. And all of that came from my learning of Go, and everything came from running my own startup. But when you're, I mean, startup is a little bit tricky because when now your projects are your work, right? So that's a very rare case where you've got the two together. Um, yeah, but once, yeah, I mean, I do so much. I don't know if you saw, but I cut back my streaming hours recently because I'm spending so much time at work, in front of the screen, talking to people, writing code and, organizing things that by the time 4 o'clock runs around, if I can scrape up an hour and a half to work on something in my own personal lab here, then I do it. And I'm still motivated by the same things. I'm still motivated by the fact that I want to create I want to learn in my own training environment. And then I want to create opportunities for other people to learn as well. So those things internally motivate me to keep going. But I got to tell you, like right now, I just want to turn the computer off and go watch Rick and Morty and fall asleep. Because I'm so tired. In fact, it's impacted I'm showing my book here. My innovator, I didn't write this, but I've been reading the innovators, and I look at screens so much. Anybody have this problem? I read so much during the day. I mean, I'm reading pretty much, 12, 13 hours a day solid. That for relaxation, I tend to turn to things that don't have words in them, just because my eyes are just so tired by the end of the day. And
Yeah, you just want to
yeah,
shut off and enjoy something.
yeah, whether it's,
I used to read a lot when I was in school and stuff,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
then no more. I read so much documentation and
yeah,
other stuff and on screen. But related to the question,
personal
how you
project.
start a project. I mean, what really is a good thing to start with is write your ideas down
Yeah,
and keep it somewhere, and maybe do a little problem statement kind of thing where you just see, oh, that's the idea, and how you maybe want to solve it, and that's
Yeah.
so motivating that sometimes it gets me to do things.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's
yeah,
funny how just like trying to like put thoughts down into words
absolutely.
like actually
Yeah, it
changes your
materializes
perception of the
somehow.
idea.
Yeah, yeah. There's something
Like
about
how
that.
like I've got a project that's to help me manage groups in a type of game I play. And when I started that, I basically just wanted, I wanted an events tracking system for, the groups that I play in. And then I started like thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, well, I could also use this to track like attendance and like what rank they are within the group, and if there are slots, what slots there are, and all this and all that sort of thing. And I only figured that out once I started to get into words.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, you start to write it out, and I have I've created a lot of projects just by when I go out running. So I completely disengage my brain, and then I start to think of ideas about different things. I think a couple of main points here is one, write down the ideas when you have them, because you're going to forget about those great ideas that you had. So whether you keep a notebook by your bed, like they say, or you have a Zettelkasten in or whatever, and then when when you have the motivation, you can come back to it, and then or when you're on vacation, and you'll find yourself wanting to do that stuff. But I don't think there's anything wrong with accepting the fact that most of us have jobs that are going to cause us to want to do things that don't relate to our jobs. And the crazy thing is I'll play 4 hours of Dota after I've worked for 13 hours. And that's the really crazy thing for me. It's like there's something about the fact that it's a different thing that I'm doing in front of the screen that I mean, I'm not proud of it, first of all, but there's, I don't know what's going on there. So,
I mean,
there's,
your brain kind of shifts gears when you change what type of task you're looking
yeah,
at, I guess.
sometimes I'll chart out running maps, and I'm still using the computer. I'm still using the web and everything, but because it's a personal project, I'm more motivated to do that. Now, there's some people whose personal interests really, really, really align with what they're doing at work. And they always say, what's that saying? If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And the truth is, if you do what you love, you'll end up working like 90 hours a week every week of your life, because you'll get so into it. And when I can tell you, when I ran SkillStack and I built it, every waking moment pretty much was built on building that school and that community. And so, I mean, it wore me out to the point where I didn't even realize it was the impact it had on me. So be careful on those personal projects. I mean, I people are like, I can't find motivation, but then all of a sudden you find that motivation, and it's an opposite problem. Iconicist says, cannot imagine a parent working 8 hours on a screen and evening coming trying to read a story to the kid even. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Cypheric says, yep, I call this retinal burnout or overload. You have to force yourself to switch off and go outside. It's amazing how much just going for a walk outside will give you insight into what you want to do. You should be, Kip says, you should be doing something physical instead. Yes. Let's see. Look at Clean says, I usually write things that automate my repetitive tasks at work. Me too. I mean, if you're looking for a personal project that's really low bar, easy, low hanging fruit, anything that automates your terminal environment, like Bonsai or your own Z shell scripts or SH or Bash shell scripts, whatever you want to write, those things tend to, I don't know why, they're easier to get behind. They're, for some reason, I find them more fun to do, I guess. But everybody's motivated differently, so I guess that's kind of the answer to that question. And on that note, I think we'll leave that mystery up to you, and Santis, if you could find a way to do your personal project. Personal projects are fundamentally motivated by what motivates you as a human being, and therefore it's going to be specific to you. If you don't know what you want to do with your life, it might be hard for you to find a personal project that motivates you. And a lot of those people actually find, pleasure doing personal projects that are game related, game mods or whatever, because they're really not, there's no like life goal at stake. Brain is complicated indeed. Cypheric says, I was climbing the wall at work years back, so decided to actually do rock climbing. The mind is sharpened when you're 60 feet up hanging from a rope. Hell yeah. I just went for a tiny little run today, and I came back and I realized a number of things. In fact, that was when I had the idea to run my computer through a cam link to be able to stream my Proxmox setup from the BIOS. And that idea happened because I went for a run. So if you're having trouble finding up ideas, maybe stop looking for ideas a little bit and just let your brain kind of rest, and it'll find some ideas for you. Or I don't know, go, ask somebody else. Maybe someone else has an idea. And on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and close up. Thank you, Maluma, Hayden, and Master Shells, Matt, and we're gonna go ahead and post this one, and call it a night.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks, everybody. When Izzy comes, we'll get Izzy in here, and
Thank you.
We'll see what comes next. I won't lie, I'm pretty stressed right now. My room is very messy. I don't like a messy room. People might think I do, but I don't. But right now we are literally. So stay tuned if you want to see the room get clean. But more importantly, we're going to be building a Proxmox server. Talk to everybody later. Bye.
See ya.